back. Last video we got my bump box and trans brake controller. We got that all wired up in the car. Took the car out, tested it out. Everything seemed to function pretty well. So now the only thing left for me to do is, well, this video we are wiring in and gonna finish plumbing up basically the boost controller. Now I've already had to, last video, because it uses a trigger wire off the trans brake and all that stuff, already got the display mounted, ran power to it. Everything is ran to the buttons on the steering wheel. Another video before that, we got the air compressor mounted in the back there, got it mounted and wired into our fuse slash relay panel. Ran the air line down the side of the car where it is now sticking out, as you can see here, the little kick panel. So, all that stuff's pretty much done, but that's fairly simple. Now what I'm going to do, what I need to do now, is I've already got up underneath the kick panel. Whoops. Already got up underneath the kick panel, marked out where I want to mount the air pressure regulator and our control solenoids right here. So I'll show you guys that here real quick. All right, so it is kind of a tight fit, but you come, let's see, come up over here. Those two black dots up there is where our air pressure regulator will be mounted. And that piece of green tape right there, used as a template, is where our control solenoids will be mounted. Now I've already gone ahead and mounted the map sensor to the side of our little center console there, because the kit only comes with about a foot of wiring to go to this, and they really don't recommend you cutting and extending it. Just mount that close to the controller, and then the control solenoids, you can see there the loom is definitely a little bit longer, but like I said, don't recommend you cutting to lengthen any of that. And of course, if you mount the solenoids close to the little control unit there, just roll up the excess, zip tie it together. But anyways, what I'm going to do right now is get underneath the dash again, get those spots drilled out. I'll go ahead and insert our 832 nut rivets, get the air pressure regulator mounted. We'll get the solenoids mounted as well, and move on from there. So I'll be right back. All right, everything is mounted up under the dash and wiring routed through little holders. Everything's out of the way. You're not gonna kick it with your feet. I've managed to run and route everything above the factory kick panel there to make it look nice and neat. I've gone ahead and plugged in the air line from the compressor to the control solenoids. Installed all our little fittings where I could. And I've gone ahead and drilled the 3 holes and added rubber grommets up there in the firewall. So now all we need to do now is run our air lines from our solenoids and our map sensor there up front. Let's see, get you around. Up front through the firewall right here. I got one that's got to go to the little fitting here on our top hat. I've got to run them down through here, run them through the holders, bring them down the side here of the apron, and plug them into our wastegate there. I've also got to go ahead and remove the housing, drill and tap out this little guy here, and run that to the bottom of the wastegate for our boost pressure. Now, so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and run the lines from the inside under the dash through the firewall, hook up what I can, get this housing off so I can drill out that hole for that port, and get everything put back together, and hopefully be able to test. So again, I'll be back in a second. All right, compressor housing has been drilled, tapped, cleaned, and reinstalled back on the turbo. As you can see, lines have been ran from the housing around down the side of the apron. Everything's been secure. As you can see, they've come through the firewall there. They've been zip tied together. Got the one end in the boost hat. The other two come around, meet up with the one from the housing, and they all come down through there and plug into our wastegate. So this is the one from the housing itself. Once it sees the 3 or 5 psi, I believe it's 3, here it opens this up. Keeps me from going above 3 with the boost controller off or air compressor off. And then these other two come from the controller itself to help regulate gate pressure. We'll come up around here, get up underneath the dash. You guys can see how that's plumbed in as well. So there's our solenoids. As you see, I've got pressure on the gauge already. Everything runs around through the top of the firewall there. So now that all that stuff is ran, we'll go ahead and turn the car on. Now the air compressor may or may not kick on here in a second, but what we're gonna do, go ahead and turn on my trans brake as well. Like I said, when we wired in the trans brake of the bump box, our boost controller, turn it off for a second, our boost controller is activated by the trans brake button as well, so that has to be on for me to run the test. Go ahead and get that air compressor turned back on, and we'll be back here in a second once it's finished to go over testing our little handheld. All right, so there's our boost controller there. Now we're going to go through mode. So there's my launch PSI. I have it set at 6. Hit enter. Whoops. Stages, I only have it set up for 1 stage because I'm just testing. I want to see what PSI is for, or what gate pressure it takes to make certain PSIs, or boost pressures I should say, and then I'll figure out stages from there. So we're going to keep it with 1, hit E. As you can see, I got 1 set up. 0 is the time that it, or the delay for the between it activating and me letting off the trans brake button. 30 is the rate. And it says 1 being the slowest, and you can go all the way up to 50, 50 being the fastest, and that determines kind of like a little ramp on how fast or how slow it hits. Now I've only got 10 pounds PSI or 10 PSI on the gate itself, so I'm gonna go ahead and leave that alone. Now I've got pressure built up. Seth, go ahead and grab the thing there, and we're just gonna do a quick test. And usually when you do that, you hit the down button. Now you can hear the solenoids are activating. And now I'm going to hit the trans brake button. It should come down to, like I said, around the 6 is what I have. Once I release, it comes up to about the 10 for gate pressure. So then you hit it down to stop it. Everything bleeds off. Now I can go through here, hit enter, gives me like a data log of what just happened. So you got time up there, 0.04 seconds, B for boost, and then G for gate pressure, and just kind of go through. So after about 0.3 seconds, or 0.3 seconds, it comes up to 8 pounds gate, 10, there it goes, starts holding 10 for me, around 9, 10. But everything seems to be working out pretty well. So now I'm going to get the car on the ground, we'll get it outside. Seth's coming along for another joyride. We're not going to get too crazy with the car, I just want to kind of see the differences between with the trans brake on and off. Kind of keep an eye on the boost pressure versus my gate pressure that I have set. But yeah, it's going to take a lot of trial and error for me to figure this system out. But I will tell you, I'm excited to see how it works. So like I said, we can get the car on the ground, we'll get it outside, and I'll see you guys on the road. All right, so I'm gonna hand Seth the camera here. He's gonna watch our little display. Now, the air compressor is empty, there's no air in it. Kind of want to see what the display says with no gate pressure on it. And then I'll go ahead and flip the air compressor on, get some air going to our solenoids there, do another little pull with the throttle, see what it does. So, ready, Seth?
Yep.
All right. About 3 psi of boost on our little whatever the heck that thing is, on our little display. We saw about 3 pounds of boost with no air in the tank. Now I have gone ahead and turned the air compressor on, so now we got pressure to send to the gate. I turned it down. What it looked like, and it was on accident, I did gave it throttle. I had 10 pounds on the gate, which kicked the car up to about 11 psi. Had the ramp way too fast, so I had to pull over and turn that down. That's what I'm doing right now, so I can make sure I get everything else on video. Right?
Yep.
So, air compressor's on. We got pressure going to the gate now. We'll go ahead. We'll do a couple little runs through the throttle and see what it does. I've got it turned down to about 5 pounds on the gate now. I've got the rate turned down to about half of what it was, so let's see what it does. Coming up, we're at 2.6 pounds of boost at 0.28 seconds. We're gonna keep going, so 0.3 seconds, we're at 3 pounds. You can see my gate's 5. That's just how much pressure I have on the gate. Boom. So we go a second into it. There we go, 1 second into the pull up the driveway. We are at 5.3 pounds of boost, 5 pounds on the gate. We saw a max, there we go, a max right there of 8.9 pounds. Now that's going to happen because we're going up a hill for the load. But 1.3 seconds in, 5 pounds on the gate still, 8.9 boost. It should come right back down as I start letting out everything. You see the boost is coming down now. Just a quick little pull, no more boost. But 3 seconds into it, we're back down. Gate's holding good, solid 5. So that's awesome. All right, shut off. All right, we are back in the shop. Everything was a success. Everything went fairly well, pretty good. Got a couple pulls in the car with it just on wastegate spring. No pressure added, no nothing, just on spring. Now I do believe it is a 5-pound spring inside this wastegate. because, well, you got to kind of account for some of the loss going through all the charge piping and everything. It only saw 3 at the hat, so that's what makes me think it was 5. And well, I'm cool with just seeing 3 psi driving around. That is totally okay with me, because cruising for the most part, it's gonna have pump gas in it. I don't want to get too crazy with it and melt this thing down. So yeah, we got a couple of pulls, couple of runs with it on gate itself. Then we turned on the air compressor, added some pressure to the backside of the gate. I got about 5 pounds of gate pressure on there. We saw about anywhere between 6 and 8 psi, which is really, really cool that those 2 pressures were that close. So, which makes me very happy. This setup is awesome. It's much easier to deal with than my other setup was. The car likes it, and I'm thinking because that I add pressure to the gate now, I can fine tune ramps and stuff, where the other one was just on spring using manifold pressure. So, I mean, it had some adjustments in there, but it never seemed to kind of like, the power never seemed to want to come in strong, and I always had lag time. But with this setup, throwing pressure to the back of the gate, or the top of the gate, to hold that thing shut, those solenoids in there working to help build a ramp and all that stuff, it's awesome. Night and day difference between the 2 controllers. I'm very happy that I purchased this and installed this in this car. So we got a few pulls, even tried to do one on the trans brake, but I got to bump the 2-step up a little bit. I had 3 psi launch set in this thing. I was trying to get it to the 3, but trying to build 3 psi, and this thing's barely going above 18, just above 1800 RPMs. It didn't really like me holding it that long, so threw a little backfire or a little pop, but cleared up right away, took off pretty good, so got some fine tuning to do with that. But, you know, like I said, I'm extremely happy with the car. Now I got to get the laptop hooked up to it, do some more fine tuning with it, get her out on the track, have some fun with it, move up a little bit more with a couple more stages, play with the ramps more. Anyways, just have fun with the car, and that's why I'm doing it. Another note, I am going to add some kind of dump valve to the air compressor. I want my boost controller turned on so I can see boost pressures and stuff like that while I'm driving. But if I have any air whatsoever in the tank, it wants to throw it at the back of the gate, build boost when I don't want it to. So I'm either going to turn the boost controller off, which probably not, and just add a dump valve to the air compressor so I can just dump all the air when I'm not using it. Which is probably what I'm going to do. But anyways, I'm going to end this video right here. Like I said, I'm totally happy with the car. Now it's time to get out and have some fun with it. So thank you guys for hanging out. Hope you liked the video. If you're new and you've made it this far, hit that subscribe button for me. Give me a thumbs up. Leave a comment. Tell me what you think. Again, thank you guys for hanging out. And I'll catch you on the next one.